Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be talking about automated ML run, how to create the run, how to deploy the best model of the run, and consume the endpoint of the deployed model. After that, we'll talk about pipeline automation using SDK. We'll discuss about how to create pipelines using Azure SDK. Let's start with the automated ML run and how to create it. Let's go to the Azure portal and open the workspace in the Azure Studio. You can click on the automated ML tab here, and then you can create a new automated ML run by clicking on this here. For the automated ML run, you have to select the dataset, where you will select the dataset here, or the available datasets, or you can create your own dataset. So I'm going to select this dataset here, which is already available for us here. We'll click next. Now we have many multiple options which you have to select. We have to select the compute, or we can create a new compute here. So actually I've already created a cluster, so I'm going to choose that one. If you have not created any cluster, you can create it from this option here. You can write the name of the compute, then you can select the virtual machine you want GPU or CPU. So you can select the options for the cluster here if you have not created your cluster. I'm going to cancel it because I already have a cluster. Same is with your experiment. You can choose an existing experiment or create a new experiment. I will write experiment 2, and you can select the column, the target column, and then click next. Now you have to select the task type of the problem. The task type of this problem is classification, so we have classification here. You can enable deep learning if you want to, but we're not going to do this for this experiment. You can configure some additional configurations here, exit criterion, and what is the concurrency. I'm not going to save that because I'm not going to run this particular experiment, because I've already run the same experiment earlier with the same settings. So I won't do that because I already have experiment 1 with the setting which I've shown you. I will go to the experiments. I have this experiment which has been completed, which is an automated ML run type. So I will click on this one. So you can see the best model summary here. Voting in symbol was the best model of that particular run, which I have done already. So we have got a model, the best model out of the automated ML run. So we can choose the models here on the models tab. The best model will be on the top of the list. You can choose that particular model, and you can choose to deploy that particular model. I've already deployed this model with the name of experiment best model deploy already, so I'm not going to deploy it again, but that is how you deploy. Write the name of the deployment, choose the compute type. You have two options here. You have Kubernetes and container instance. So the one which I created using container service, and I have enabled authentications. I'm not going to deploy this because I have already deployed it. I will show you where the deployment is. I'm going to cancel that. The deployments can be seen in the endpoints. So that particular model has been deployed here, and you will see the endpoints here. You will see the REST endpoint. So and then you have got this Swagger URI. Swagger URI gives you this Swagger JSON file, which talks about the all the methods which are supported by this particular REST API. So I've opened here, I've used this swagger.json and I've opened that particular file in Swagger UI. So you can see the methods which are supported by that particular REST API and what kind of inputs they're expecting. So these are the type of inputs it's expecting from you, and the parameter content type as well. So we will do some validation of this REST API and see how we interact with that particular REST API. So I actually have so I'll clear this. I have a file here which is your endpoint file. I will show you what it is in that file. So I will show. So this is more of sending the request to that particular URI. So we have got the particular URI. I have copy pasted here. So I have got the query. So the thing is that we can so when you go to the particular deployment, you will also have the option of consuming it here. In this tab you have consume. You can copy paste the URI and the primary key or the secondary key. So I have copy pasted and I have got this information from this page, and I have copy pasted that into this, because this will be needed when I'm going to send request to this particular endpoint. So the REST endpoint is this, key is this is the data we have seen in our Swagger UI, the kind of data it is expecting us to give in. So that is the kind of data we have provided here. We are providing 2 data points, and the response will be the prediction or the classification from the model. So we are converting this particular string into JSON because that particular API expects JSON files. So we are doing that. We're providing the key, and then we send a post request that to put to that particular REST API URI, and then input data is your JSON file. Headers are your content type and the authorization. So this is the content of the file. I'm going to run that particular file and see what the output is. So I will just go and see that. Let me run this file. So as you will see, I will run this file. You can see the result. So the thing is, we are able to interact with that particular API, and the result given by that API for those 2 particular inputs was no and no, as it is a classification problem. So we are able to consume that particular REST API. So we have seen till now, we have seen how to create automated ML run. We have talked about deploying the best model of that run, and then we have also interacted with that endpoint. We have consumed it using this particular Python script. In the end, we'll be talking about the pipeline automation using Azure SDK. I have a notebook for that. So I will just open that notebook. To open the notebook, you need to have a compute. So I have already created a compute here, which is my notebook. So this is the notebook for our pipeline automation using SDK. We are just importing different libraries here, I will just go through because I've already run all the cells in this, and then obviously it's time consuming. So I'm not going to run those cells now. I will just go through what this particular notebook is doing. So we have inputted all the libraries here. We will get our workspace from the config file. Whenever we do our .config, it takes us to the interactive authentication. We have to do that here. We're creating our experiment. We're using the same experiment which we created for our automated ML run. We are already using the same experiment for our pipeline automation as well. So we are going to do that. And then we are going to create our cluster here. But we have already created a cluster. This is already created, so if it is found, then it does not create a new one. Found existing cluster, use it. So we'll be using the same cluster which we have already created. In this particular cell, we are getting the data set, and the data looks like this. We are showing the top 5 rows of that particular data set. Now we are going to define the AutoML configuration here. This is a classification, and so you'll see the parameters which we are selecting here are almost the same as what we had for AutoML run. We are selecting the target column as Y, which is your label column name here, classification. Now we are going to create the pipeline and pipeline for that AutoML run. So we have imported pipeline data and training output. So here, this is more of the pipeline data which will be used by the AutoML step. So you will see that this is model data, this is metric data, this is more of the outputs which is expected from this step. So you'll see outputs is metric data and model data. We have got that configuration which we defined earlier. So we have defined this AutoML step here, and then this AutoML steps becomes the part of the pipeline. As you can see, steps equal to, there's only one step in this particular pipeline, which is the AutoML step. We will run the experiment. We will run that particular. We will pass that pipeline into that experiment and run that experiment using this pipeline, and then we are showing the run details of that particular pipeline run. Yeah, so this is all what I have for the video. Thank you for watching.